Magandang hapon, Malacanang Press Corps, and welcome sa ating press briefing ngayong araw, October the 10th. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered agencies to closely coordinate with the Philippine Embassy in Tel Aviv and the Migrant Workers Office in Israel to secure all Filipinos affected by the conflict between Israeli forces and the Palestinian militant group Hamas. The Departments of Foreign Affairs and Migrant Workers and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration are working double time to ensure the safety of Filipinos affected by the situation in Israel. And to give us an update on this, we are joined by Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega, DMW OIC Undersecretary Hans Leo Kakdak, and OWA Administrator Arnel Ignacio. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Let's start with you, Sec de Vega.
Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, the President has given instructions to our agencies. It
Ito po yun.
approach, and it does not involve
So,
the DMW, including DMWO. We will brief you now on the steps we're undertaking. Um, Aside from the Philippine Embassy in Tel Aviv, our embassies in Amman, Jordan, which has jurisdiction over the Palestinian territories, and
ito po yung mga latest update ngayon na kalagayan ng mga kababayan natin sa
part
Israel.
of our working group. All right, so I'd like to turn over to you, USEC Hans Kakdak, OIC Hans Kakdak, actually, of the Department of Migrant Workers, to talk about the situation involving our Filipino workers in Israel so far.
Yes, thank you, USEC Ed and Admin Arnel and Sec Daphne and everyone here. Greetings to everyone. Since the presidential directive to monitor the status of our dear OFWs in Israel, last Saturday we put up the 24/7 Task Force Israel Help Desk over the DMW OWA, and we have received 83 requests for assistance from OFWs and OFW families, and we had updated the status of 76 of the 83 OFWs mentioned in the request for assistance, and are still seeking updates on the status of 7 more. And of course, we also put out a Google survey. We emailed, because we do have the email addresses of OFWs in Israel. So we put out a Google survey through the emails of the OFWs, and 313 had already responded from the affected areas and had marked themselves safe in the affected areas where there's an approximately around 300 plus OFWs. When I say affected areas, I mean to say the southern part of Israel that is close to the Gaza Strip border. And lastly, my last update would be yesterday, Labor Attaché Rudy Gabasan and OWA Welfare Officer Dina Ponciano, of course, tasked by myself and Admin Arnel to proceed to Beersheba and visit the hospitalized OFW whose right arm had been grazed by a bullet. He is fine, in good spirits, recovering, and is, as we speak, being transferred from Beersheba up to Tel Aviv. It was also a chance for Labat Gabasan and Welfare Officer Ponciano to visit what we call the rescue areas or centers that have been put up by the Israeli government. You know, the Israeli government, coordinated by the PE embassy in Tel Aviv, IDF had been undertaking rescue efforts on the ground. And sino man nasasagip nila, dinadala dun sa rescue areas at dinalaw yon ni Labor Attaché Gabasan and Welfare Officer Ponciano. At doon nagbigay ng ayuda, of course, aside from checking up on the well-being, not just physical, but the psychosocial well-being of our OFWs there. So the effort continues, and with respect to our dear OFWs, and hopefully things will, the situation on the ground will get better, and we'll have more peaceful resolutions to the current conflict so that our OFWs can resume their work.
Thank you.
Thank you. As you may have seen, OWA is in a 24-hour non-stop work mode, and we're also in full cooperation and full coordination with the DFA, the DMW, and the IDF in Israel. And we put up a command center in OWA. And currently, yung pong ilan sa ating mga kababayan na humingi ng tulong dyan po dumadaan lahat. And kung ano man ang amin pong the information that we get, we always coordinate with with the DMW and the DFA. Currently, yung isa po nga sa OFWs na asawa ni Gelianor Liano Pacheco is with us para po naman ay mabigyan natin ng psychosocial intervention kasi siya po yung misis nung ating pong hinahanap na isang OFW in Israel. So we can assure you that with the experience that we've had, hindi naman po ito isang bagong bagay sa OWA. We have been together to address crisis like this in Egypt, Russia. We would lahat naman po ito na naranasan na natin, and with this experience we assure you that for any situation, OWA, the DMW, and the DFA will be working hand in hand together para po mabigyan ng mga pangangailangan ng ating pong mga OFWs in Israel.
Thank you. Let's open the floor now to questions. Let's start with Maricel Halili, TV5.
Magandang hapon po. May we have an update about po dun sa repatriation of our Filipinos residing in Israel? Gaano na po karami sa kanila yung nagsabi na gusto na nilang magpa-repatriate, and ready na po ba tayo for repatriation?
Magandang hapon. Una, kailangan natin maalala, tulad ng sinabi namin, yung affected areas talaga kung saan pumasok yung Hamas ng weekend are in the south of Israel. There are roughly 30,500 Filipinos in Israel. The majority of those, the vast majority, 95%, according to our embassy, are not situated in the southern areas near Gaza. No, there are some cities of Israel in the area, such as Sderot, Ashdod, and others, Beersheba, where we have a total of about 300 Filipinos, and the embassy has been in touch with them to make sure that they're all right. Karamihan natin mga kababayan are in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, or Haifa, further up north. Wala pang nagsasabi na gusto nilang ma-repatriate. This situation between the Hamas, the Israeli authorities, is sadly a cyclical thing, which our kababayans are well aware of. They are very resilient, just like the people they're living with in Israel, and they do not ask for repatriation whenever there is a conflict, because by past experience, what happens is that, well, after a few days, hopefully this will be the case as well, tulad ng sinabi ng ating dalawang gentlemen dito, no? After a few days, there's a session of hostilities. So they haven't asked. We are ready to repatriate them, to bring them home if that's what they want. The situation is different in Gaza, in Palestine, where you have about 137 Filipinos. They're not OFWs. They are Filipino family members. They are Filipinas married to Palestinians, and some of the 137 are their minor children, so they are also Philippine nationals. And parami ng parami, but right now, according to our embassy in Amman, there are about 38 who have asked to be repatriated, and we are in the process, and we are working on it. So, dun po, sa Gaza meron nagpaparepatriate, sa Israel, wala po.
Just a quick confirmation. Meron na po ba tayong balita kung totoo na merong fatalities na Filipino in Israel? Because merong lumalabas na news na mukhang meron na raw.
We heard that. We cannot confirm that because we do not want to cite to confirm anything without being 100% sure of the facts. May I ask my colleagues here also to give the perspective from the DMW NOVA?
Yes, as far as we have been told by the Philippine Embassy, there is also close coordination with the IDF, International Defense Forces. Of course, for OFWs, we are also in touch with their employers so that we can get the full facts. And thus far, agree with you, Sec Ed, there has been no confirmation of the reported fatality, although the matter has been forwarded to the Israeli side, to Israeli government.
But we wish to emphasize also that the president himself has already stated on behalf of the Filipino nation that we condemn these acts of violence, especially against civilians.
Nestor Corrales, Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Just a follow-up. So may we know how many Filipinos are currently unaccounted for in Israel and how many are held hostage, if any?
On that being held hostage, we have no absolute confirmation that there is a single Filipino being held hostage. But yes, it is true that there are about 7 Filipinos who, well, shall we say, whose whereabouts we are uncertain of, no? I'd like to ask my colleagues to share some details.
Yes, we're hoping that the number of OFWs whose updates or status we are still trying to get ourselves updated with will continue to go down. It was around 15 or 16 last weekend. So we have slowly accounted for the status of our respective OFWs. Of course, in total it was 83, but slowly we are updating their status and have accounted for most of them. So hopefully the trend continues and we'll have a complete accounted roster of OFWs in Israel.
Yung isa po doon, tulad ng banggit na ni Administrator Arnel, well, nakita raw niyo yung asawa niya sa video, yun isa
Yes.
yung sa mga missing Filipinos, pero please yung
Yes,
tungkol
so
sa misis.
the wife of Galino Liano Pacheco ay nakita daw niya yung kanyang mister pero
Sa video,
sa video pero as I've said, we would like to be 100% sure. So what we did is to kinuha po natin yung kanyang wife and currently nandito siya sa OWA ngayon para naman mas mabigyan siya na mas makalma natin kasama yung anak niya. And karagdagan lang, no, we would like to let you know that most of the reports that you get, we also get them. But we are very, very careful as to what we will tell the media. Kasi katulad po ng mga nauna ng mga reports, upon verification, hindi naman po totoo. And we'd like to appeal to our kababayans. Each time that you make transmissions from where you are, it can jeopardize your situation. Maaari kayong matrace. And then pangalawa, it instills unnecessary fear doon po sa ating mga kababayan. So it's best that we be very cautious about sharing information, unconfirmed, especially unconfirmed and verified information bago natin sila ilabas. So I hope you understand bakit kami ay ingat na magbigay ng mga ganong uri ng informasyon. Now, ano ba yung katapat naman nun? As you see, as you observe, the DMW, DFA, and OWA, tuloy-tuloy na nagtatrabaho. Katulad nung simula na ang dami nating mga sinabi na hindi makita. Ngayon bumababa na itong mga numero na to. And tuloy-tuloy pa rin tayong hinahanap ito. Hindi lamang ito kasi hindi lamang ang ating side ang nakikipagtulungan. In fact, IDF is also working closely with us. In fact, yung ilan po sa ating mga nailigtas at nadala sa mas ligtas na lugar, ito po ay hinatid ng IDF ng Israel. So we're working very closely with them.
Dagdag ko lang,
Mhm.
sorry. Yung isa pa lang unaccounted a few days back, yung nagkaroon ng smoke inhalation. Isa yun sa mga dinalaw ng labat ng DMW at ng well-off ni Admin Arnella. And she is safe and she's currently up in Tel Aviv already. Recovered, wala na siya sa ospital.
Kaya nagpapasalamat din tayo sa State of Israel. Pinangakuan ng ambassador nila dito na hindi lang naman nila bibigyan ng protection ng sariling citizens, pero pati rin yung mga iba, kasama ng mga Pilipino doon. To add to what Administrator Ignacio was saying, for example, we don't want to be alarmist. Yes, it's true na may missing Filipinos, pero it's possible they're still in the bunkers, they're still kasi meron pa rin konting gun battles between Israeli forces and some Palestinian fighters in south of Israel. So maybe they're still in hiding or so. And eventually lilitaw na rin, hopefully. And also on the details, remember it's a security situation. So in case they were abducted, we don't want to give details because that will endanger their lives. It will worsen their situation.
Ivan Mayrina, GMA7.
Gentlemen, sir, good afternoon. Based on reports that we've been seeing from foreign media, Gaza City is under heavy bombing, perhaps as we speak. Meron ho ba tayong impormasyon kung anong kondisyon ng mga kababayan natin doon? At bukod po sa bombing, tinigil daw po ang supply ng pagkain, kuryente, fuel, even water, papunta sa Gaza City.
All right. It is true that there's bombing and that, well, actually, Gaza has been in lockdown. I'm sorry. The Israelis, since for some years, have put a blockade on Gaza, and that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason for the difficult relationship, right now between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Ang ating mga kababayan, so far, walang casualties, walang wounded because ang tinatarget ng Israel specifically are Hamas targets. And we would like to think that our kababayans in Gaza are not, involved with the Hamas. And so the Israelis themselves have said that they have been warning civilians in Gaza before they strike particular buildings, no? As for the yung electricity, okay, this has been happening. This is not the first time that's happened. And I'm sure the kababayans, while they are not in the best of conditions right now, know what to do. Of course, some have already asked for repatriation, and it's complicated by the fact there's no international airport in Gaza. No, there's none. You can't even leave by the sea because also the blockade includes sea. There's no port, the way you know ports are. But there's always diplomatic initiatives. There are the exit points both to Israel or through Egypt, which are heavily guarded by both Egypt or Israel. So there are measures now being undertaken. So that we could hopefully bring them as soon as possible. But right now, no casualties among the Filipinos in Gaza.
Having mentioned all those challenges, Yusek, how soon can we execute this plan to repatriate our kababayan? Ito hong 38 na sabi na gusto nila magpa-repatriate.
I don't want to lie to you and give a date. I will tell you as soon as possible.
Okay. Harley Valbuena, DZME. Alan.
Hello, good afternoon po, sirs. Yusek Kakdak, may we know if there are OFWs that are set to be deployed in Israel for the next few weeks or months? And in line with that, are we open on asking the President for a possible deployment ban sa Israel po?
Okay, first question. Right now, deployment is on hold mainly because we know that the Ben Gurion International Airport is closed, although there might have been developments in the last few hours on that. But nevertheless, we are in touch with, as you know, there's a government-to-government hiring arrangement in partnership with the Israeli labor and immigration authorities, especially with respect to hotel workers. So we are in close coordination with the Israeli PIBA. That's the name of the government agency counterpart that we have. And at the proper time, deployment will resume, especially for our what we call G2G hotel workers for Israel. And with respect to a deployment ban in general, we're looking toward USEC Ed and the DFA because we know that the deployment ban framework is anchored on the alert level system, alert level set also by the Department of Foreign Affairs, and this is in accordance with the law.
Okay. Al-
For now po, sir, on hold muna yung deployment. Tama po ba ako?
Yeah, right now, what's proceeding is the deployment of hotel workers. So right now, because of the alert, kasi it takes alert level 3 to hold the deployment. Alert level 2 for new hires and alert level 3 for all types of workers. So wala pa tayo sa alert level 2. So wala pa tayo, technically, wala pa tayong deployment ban sa ngayon. But again, the situation we are in is that we have a government-to-government hiring arrangement with our Israeli counterparts. So it's a two-way street. We have to be well coordinated with our Israeli labor and immigration counterparts before we even proceed, kahit na walang ban.
Okay. Alan Francisco, PTV4.
Hi ma'am, hi gentlemen. Ilan po sir yung aalis na yun?
Sa hotel workers kasi we are deploying around on average around 1,000 let's say 1,800 in a given year kasi it's just the second year of implementation of the G2G arrangement. Yung sa caregivers naka-hold siya over the last year, no? But sa hotel workers, that's ongoing. So that's around 1,800. So that's approximately maybe 100 or so per month. So we, again, the situation is manageable kasi nga nakatimbre tayo dun sa counterpart natin sa Israel. So even before we say yes here, they have to say yes over there and vice versa. Sabay na magde-decide bago matuloy yung deployment.
May add also, may sabi si Yusek, no, naka-hold yung deployment ng caregivers last year. This has not to do with the conditions, working conditions of the caregivers, but with the negotiations for the G2G agreement. Karamihan ng mga Filipinos sa Israel are caregivers, but now we are working now for other workers, including yung sinabi
Hotel
ni Yusek,
workers.
hotel workers. But yung caregivers is a special case, so they're negotiating with, well, they were, and then, well, now this happened. So we will work on it after hostilities cease, hopefully, as soon as possible.
Sir, balikan ko lang yung sitwasyon sa Israel. Anong point sir na kailangan na magpatupad ng probably forced evacuation? I understand, nakasasabi niyo lang po kanina, wala pang gustong mag-repatriate ng ating mga kababayan.
Yung force, let me clarify yung alert levels. So alert level precautionary phase, yung alert level 1, pag nag-uumpisa na yung if there are incipient threats to the safety and security of our kababayans there, precautionary phase. Alert level 2, restricted phase, meaning bawal na magpadala ng bagong workers. Alert level 3, voluntary repatriation, meaning sumama na yung situation, although there is still order in the country. Alert level 4, yun na talaga yung breakdown of order and of practically full-scale war. By the way, we could have alert levels only in one particular place, hindi to alert level the entire country. Our embassy in Amman, which controls Gaza, which has jurisdiction over Gaza, has recommended na ilagay na yung Gaza to alert level 3, which is voluntary repatriation. So hindi pa mandatory. So this will be clear with the president. As for Israel, our embassy has not yet made a recommendation, although we are working, our task force is working by the presumption that we're in the precautionary phase because we have to prepare, no? So as for when we will call on a mandatory evacuation, well, if the situation, well, we'd like to be optimistic, no, escalates that not just what's happening now, but pretty much that the Israelis are no longer able to defend the citizenry, and they are themselves asking for foreigners to leave. If you remember in Sudan, even recently, even the two warring factions were saying foreigners should leave. So that's a great example of voluntary or mandatory repatriation. The Israeli government is in control of Israel, and now they are the ones undertaking operations against Gaza. So we would like to call eventually for a peaceful solution and respect for international law, and hopefully peace will prevail. So wala pa tayo situation nun. Hopefully our efforts now are on ensuring the safety, monitoring the safety of our kababayans, including hopefully we'll be able to find out what happened to the 7 who are missing. Thank you.
Okay, Alvin Baltasar, PBS.
Yusek Kakdak, magandang hapon po. Yusek, medyo clarification lang ng kaunti doon sa deployment. Opo. Parang sa pagkakasabi nyo kanina, apparently mukhang suspended muna yung deployment. Pero nabanggit nyo rin kanina na parang lumalabas na selected lang yung pansamantalang deployment ng mga manggagawa. Gaya ng hotel workers, pwede silang tumuloy pa rin.
Kasi sa ngayon talagang walang deployment ng new hires ng caregivers, no? As mentioned by Yusek Ed, merong pang negotiations to renew, no, or to resume the deployment. Ngayon, what is functioning right now is the government to government hiring ng hotel workers. Dalawa kasi 'yun eh. Government to government hiring ng caregivers maybe 2020, 2021, and then 2022 nagsimula yung hotel workers. So naka-hold ngayon yung sa caregivers, but on not, as mentioned by Yusek Ed, not related to the current situation. It's because there are current negotiations taking place between both sides. Ngayon, do sa hotel workers ay meron pa rin government to government hiring. We're looking at the airport situation in Israel and consult with our counterparts, yung labor and immigration authorities, as to whether pwede muling mag-resume. As I said, it's a two-way street. Kahit sabihin natin ditong go na, pero kung sabihin ng Israel side, hold muna, then hold. And vice versa. Kung sinabi nila sa atin na go na, pero sabihin natin, teka, sandali, kung may alert level, ay hindi rin. Pero sa ngayon, walang alert level. So from our side, walang impediment, but we will still have to check with our Israeli counterparts. First, yung airport situation, although we've heard some news na parang magbubukas or bukas na. And then second, whether or not we can already have that flow, renewed flow of deployment ng hotel workers for Israel.
So, ibig sabihin, Yusek, ay naghihintay lang tayo ng go signal talaga.
Yes. Which all it takes is just we will check with our Israeli counterparts kung okay na naman, kung bukas na naman. Kasi nga, since last weekend, sarado yung Ben Gurion International Airport. But what we've heard so far are press releases, so we need to officially confirm.
Also, again, we wish to emphasize the conflict is in the southern part. Kasi imagine, for example, in the Philippines, although the size is different, no? Imagine Filipinos mostly working, for example, the Metro Manila area, and then the conflict would be somewhere in Mindanao. Parang ganon. So it doesn't mean that the kababayans who are in Tel Aviv are in grave danger right now. Although, of course, they have to take precautions. We just heard, what was that, a buzzer? That's common in Israel during these times. That's a warning to the people, may darating na missile. Everybody to the bomb shelter. Well, their Iron Dome handles or intercepts those missiles. Yung rockets fired by Gaza last weekend mostly were towards the southern cities. In fact, they caused a lot of damage and even deaths. There were a few which reached Tel Aviv, pero by then humihina na yun the thing. So our kababayans in Tel Aviv and in Haifa are, of course, monitoring the situation, and they're in touch with the embassy. They are safe. Right now, the situation is all towards Gaza and in the extreme south or extreme areas of the border with Gaza. No? So again, the yung iba yung workers pero caregivers, hindi to deployment suspension dahil nagkaroon ng ng gera, no, ng hostilities, but even from last year, nor was it caused because we are disappointed with the way they're being treated. But there are new rules with Israel which we have to, ano ba yung kailangan makipagtugma sa POA regulations.
We're just talking things over with them.
So, and we are optimistic. We always have to be optimistic about, lalo na kami as a diplomat, about how peace would prevail.
Undersecretary De Vega, I have a question. What are the latest travel updates? The Holy Land is a very popular tourist site for many Filipinos. In the coming weeks, some people have already bought some trips.
We haven't put a travel ban on Israel, but our embassy has issued a travel advisory as much as possible. Avoid traveling right now. I'm sure even a lot of Israeli officials would echo that. Well, because of course, if you insist, though, the Holy Land sites are not where the hostilities are happening. For example, Jerusalem, which is about an hour's drive away from Tel Aviv, is closer to the West Bank, or you might say it's part of the West Bank, and Bethlehem is in the Palestinian territories, a few minutes from Jerusalem. Wala dong hostilities. In the north, Nazareth, where where Jesus Christ grew up, no, is also a popular tourism place. We're not telling you not to go, but we're advising you it's best, if possible, to postpone them until we're absolutely sure that the hostilities have ended. Because after all, even the Prime Minister of Israel has said that we're in a state of war. So it's not normal for somebody to want to visit a country which is in a state of war. So it's not a ban. There's no ban. But if you could, mamaya ko tip, remember, if you're a tourist and there's a problem, kayo na maging problem. There were some people nahirapan umuwi recently, pero nakauwi rin. So advisory is hold off muna.
Okay. And any more questions? Okay, Sam Madanilla, Business Mirror.
For Yusek De Vega po. Tatanong lang po namin kung ano po yung current na alert levels ng Gaza Strip at saka ng Israel po mismo.
Wala pong alert level yung Israel because hindi pa nire-recommend ng embassy. Yung Gaza, well, of course, walang official alert level kasi wala naman tayong deploy na Filipino workers doon. All the Filipinos there are just there because they're married, no, to Palestinians. Pero ni-recommend na ng embassy gawing alert level 3 yung Gaza, meaning voluntary repatriation, which also means restricted phase na yan. And hindi pa na-announce sa final, pero we are going by that. Parang de facto na kahit hindi pa officially pinirma ng presidente or in-announce, we could say that it's under voluntary repatriation na. And the only issue is, well, voluntary repatriation, but how to repatriate them, because that's what we're working on diplomatically. Because it's not a simple matter po na magpapadala tayo ng aeroplano, mag-hire ng charter ng aeroplano, kasi wala nga flights or even ships. The normal way to get out of Israel, of Gaza, is through Israel, through the border with Israel, but which is obviously closed. So, so let us assume, let's work by the principle, by the assumption that they are on alert level 3.
Pero sir, bakit hindi po alert level 4 na mandatory repatriation po yung recommended for Gaza Strip?
Well, because this is a situation which sadly is kind of a regular thing, which the Filipinos in Palestine already know about, no? Pero it could go up. Without saying it will, let's see how the next few days goes.
Tapos last lang sir, mag-deploy po ba yung government ng augmentation team para po dun sa ongoing na preparation for possible repatriation?
They haven't asked yet, but we are all ready to do whatever it takes, including that.
Lalo na kung bukas na yung airport.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you. And that concludes our press briefing today. Thank you, Undersecretary De Vega, Undersecretary Kakdak, and Administrator Ignacio.